Today, I'm chatting with Sarah from two businesses, Lasac in the background that you can see at her office, and the Wolf Shed. So we had a bit of a challenge that we set in late January. I had a lot of time off from being on Instagram for holidays, blah, 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 excuses. But yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. And so Sarah and I had a chat and we're like, okay, I think we need to get back on the horse again. I was feeling almost to the point, I think, with Instagram when we first started talking about Sarah about having that 30-day challenge of doing a post every day in February. I was thinking like, I'm just done, completely done. Like I'm gonna find some other way of being in connection with my audience. And so then when we started chatting, which is what we do all the time, and then get carried away, and years happen, and Sarah was like, maybe we should do 30 days of Instagram for February. And so it's like, okay. And I'm always up for a challenge. And so I said yes, but in the beginning, my heart wasn't in it. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And then we started. So yeah, Sarah, hi.
You take it all the way back, honey. We're business owners, and I feel like we have to be online. Like, we're not only business owners, but we're the face of our business, which is about connecting with people. And so how many websites there are, how many photographers, how many products there are in the world. Like, how do you reach your target audience 24/7? And it's the conversation, that broader conversation that we have around having to show up to be successful or make money in our businesses, because that's what business is about. It's not a non-for-profit. It's not a social enterprise. It's a business. It pays our bills. It's our job. It's what we do. So that's just basic 101 of what we have to do to continue our business and to meet the people that want to participate in our business and buy from us. So how do we do that authentically without that yucky feeling, which I know so many people resonate with? We just had that conversation in the business.
Yes.
So how does that show up for you, that yucky feeling of not wanting to show up? What does that feel like?
I think that I was observing this the other day. So after doing the intensity of that kind of 30-day posting each day, and then I've had a lull because I feel a bit tired after posting so that often. What I noticed is that when I was going online, I didn't have anything to share and I was just consuming. It made me feel yuck. And so that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. So I thought, okay, so people talk about this all the time, about that kind of feeling of just feeling like, oh, it's just taxing all my energy and it's not giving anything back. And I was like, oh, okay, really, it's still a reflection of input, energy in, energy out. And so it's like when you're just there to take and not give and have an exchange, then my energy about Instagram instantly changed. Whereas when I was contributing, hang up, sharing my message, my point of view, things that were going on in my life that I was excited about, then what was met back in return was other people's energy exchanging, and that felt good most of the time.
Yes.
I think that journey itself, so does that answer the question, you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit further on in the journey. I think what I'm talking about is what we were talking about in that business catch up about, if we take it all the way back prior to the 30 days, why we felt uncomfortable about posting regularly, or what stopped us from posting regularly.
I think some perfectionism. Yeah. Perfectionism, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, it's my people-pleasing stuff. It's what are people going to say? Because I know what people say about other people that show up face-to-face. I was thinking about it in the car on the way here. It's judgment, I think. And I think it's judgment, but what's the word about vanity? I think to me, in my mind and my values, vanity isn't something that's good. And to show up constantly, how vain of you, how just not the done thing to put yourself forward, to put yourself out there, to put your face forward all the time.
Yes.
So that's what the uncomfort is for me, and it not being at a level that I want it to be to put it out.
Yeah, I think the same. So there's two parts. So there's a perfectionism, so wanting it to be a certain level, because obviously I'm an image maker. So every time I share something, the bar of where I feel like my visuals have to be out, even though I tell people just to post, advice to other business owners is to post, just do the best you can kind of thing. But obviously this is my job. And so I feel like the standard of visual that I need to share on my feed need to be at a certain level. And so that's one part of it. But it's also, I think, showing up and then feeling if I just share stuff about myself all the time, who cares? Does anyone really actually care about, my beautiful garden kind of thing? is it skiting? Is it saying, oh, look what I've got and look what you don't have?
Yes.
And so they're all the same thing, that the questions that go in your mind when you feel like that you've got self-doubt as to like, who cares? And are people going to think that I'm full of myself? Are people judging me when I go into school pickup or in the street, like lucky perfect life kind of thing, you know? So it's like, but innately what I want to share are things that are inspiring and beautiful in my life or in my business or great conversations that I've had. So it's like, if I am just sharing that stuff, is it excluding a part of my life, you know, of reality? But I don't see it that way. I just see it as focusing on the positive, but they're the thoughts that go in my mind about the blocks. It's like, does anyone really
that's the wave, isn't it? Like, that's the wave of how social media has changed. Like, we've lived through that. Like, we've been on that journey through Instagram of where it was, you know, like those funny, like, filters at first.
Yes.
And then it went through, like, perfect imagery. And now it's, like, authentic. So you're showing the real life version of yourself.
Yes.
And then, like, I feel like people have gone through that journey too. And I feel like many people won't understand it. But like showing the best parts of your life. Yeah, it is the best parts of your life. You're not coming on. Well, some people do come on here and show the reality, but it's that fine line, isn't it? Of like,
yes, I think the people that do show the reality are people who are naturally really funny.
yes, oh,
You know, like that. Super, like I enjoy, like there's several accounts I follow and they're just so damn funny. And so I think if you're doing it in a way that's humorous, whereas if you're doing it in a way that's kind of like, oh, you know, like poor me, how crap are my kids being, like it has to be done in a way that makes people laugh.
I know.
And
And do you know what? I think for me, the catalyst of this 30 days and just generally showing up is the amount of energy I was expending thinking or overthinking about it and thinking about that. Like even this conversation and even like the thought of like, oh, well, you know, most people kind of should understand that this is the positive parts of my life and that there's this other part and well, most people, like, I just got jack of it really. And I was like, well, like, am I just going to do this ongoing? Like, this is just like, I know that when I post, it works and it's successful. Therefore, I know I should be doing more of it. And this is where people are buying and selling and seeing and connecting. So just get on.
Yes.
Just bloody do it.
Yeah. I think that was something that we both came to, because as we were going through with this journey, we were sending each other text messages and voice messages about like, oh, can we do it? And just encouraging each other to keep going. And I think the stages that we went through in that first week, you know, just having to show up and just post each day, even though you weren't ready and you didn't really have anything kind of formed, and just doing it anyway. I think for me, let go of perfectionism and let go of overthinking what other people were going to think, because I didn't have time to think about it. I was like, okay, cool. Done.
Get it on.
Next. Done. Next. And so I feel like the more space sometimes you allow yourself, then the more it kind of hinders you actually making a decision about anything. And then it's like all that time you spent thinking about it, you could have been doing the thing instead of thinking about the thing that you're not going to do, which is crazy. I think
that's what I was saying to you yesterday or the day before in the Women's Business Catch-Up. I think sometimes we're not busy enough, but that's not the right language. Kind of what you're saying right now is more kind of it, is that when you have too much space to overthink something, you actually just don't get on with it. Like, you have to make quick decisions. You either swim or sink, but hopefully we swim with it.
Yeah. And so for you, Sarah, how do you think like the journey, when do you think it was like a bit like that? Or
like I think it said a lot about who we are and how we approach like challenges or things, because I was like, no, we have to keep, because I remember halfway through you were like, should we just drop it? It's a bit hard. And I said, no, I'm going through with it. You do what you want, no judgment. But I was like, no, I'm going through with it. I didn't post every day. Some days the day went and I was like, whoops. But you posted every single day. I did like stories and things like that. But I found it challenging. For me, it's waves. So when I feel inspired, I feel like it's easy. When I felt uninspired, I felt like it was challenging. It was a wave for me. It wasn't just challenging the whole way along.
Yes. Yeah. I think some observations from the conversations that we had were like some missing parts of like, it's really great to go through this exercise of posting each day to get over yourself. But I think upon reflection, we kind of spoke about a few things about like, it's great to show up regularly. I mean, maybe you don't have to show up every day, but having strategy in place. And so I think that was for me a big thing. It's like absolutely show up more often if I can, but there needs to be a strategy piece. Okay, what am I sharing? where's it going, where else can I, use that content kind of thing. And so like I really enjoyed getting over the perfectionism part, but I definitely want to add more strategy to it. And also just figuring out like having that data now that you can look back on the 30 days and seeing what responds from people. Like unless I did those 30 days, because I'm so sporadic, like I go through stages, then I wouldn't kind of know that having that concentrated data. And the other part to it is I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. And then you can.
Yes. Yeah.
I think for me, the thing that I learned is that you can't depend on inspiration because it just won't always come. And that there needs to be a bit of a rhythm. And I think that I think I should try to stick to posting every day. Like that just should be normal, I think. I think you're right. There should be some strategy in it. It's just not off the cuff all the time. And I think if you posted every day, I think that you would find more of the people that resonate with what you do and who you are. And it would kind of tighten up that group. So hopefully grow it if you kept posting consistent content. So yeah, I kind of feel that it taught me that I have to keep going. Like the getting over it was great, just doing it, but you have to keep going. Like I don't think.
Yes. I think the other, that train of thought that I lost was that the other part to it is like we talked about some days when you had like, we set up the camera and we did some talking to camera pieces individually and I just like it flowed and it was just, and so figuring out when that is and harnessing it. And so not like you said about not waiting for inspiration. Absolutely. Like there needs to be a balance between sometimes just doing it, but also being really aware of like a rhythm, sometimes a bit of a rhythm to like our work week or our hormonal cycle or whatever's going in our life or the school holidays, not school holidays. And then like when you are feeling like pumped, scheduling time in to do that thing that everybody tells you to do, that kind of batching, like being able to, set up, a phone and have it going, change your shirt 3 times, do 3 talking to camera pieces, and then you're done.
Yep.
And then you can pepper those out over the next month. So I feel like that part of it, for me, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see how some days it was just so easy. Other days it was like literally clawing out from the bottom. And I think that's what I'd like to do. So strategy and then building in some batching work. I keep hearing it, I've heard it for like the last 5 years over and over again on podcasts, batch.
I think the flexibility, I think that that's what is important, the flexibility, because if you're in that zone and you're creating really great content and it's coming to you easy and you're in that state of flow and you're inspired, pushing everything that you can aside and going, okay, well, this is easy, so therefore I'm probably going to get 10 really great pieces of content.
Yes.
2 okay ones. Let's just go with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And also that I think it was the most, maybe I repurposed like 2 or 3 posts from before, and people talk about that all the time, and I've never done it because, again, I'm a visual operator. I've got so much content to post. I wouldn't really, most of the time, I wouldn't need to post anything from before because I've got so much that I couldn't even fit it all in. But it's also coming up with the concept of what it is I want to talk about, rather than just like, here's a pretty photo of a flower. That was pretty cool. Being able to go back and go, oh, this posted well, I'm going to repost it as a reel, and it was a carousel before. So that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me as well.
Yeah. So what are the 3 things you're going to do now that we're done with the 30 days?
I think I am going to batch. I'm going to book in some days in my calendar to do some sessions. And within that batching, I'm going to choose some strategy in that, as far as like, okay, so I'm going to make something that's longer and it's probably going to live on YouTube or on my website. And then I'm going to cut that down into some pieces and so these are kind of like when I'm talking about batching, probably things that are require a bit more time or technical kind of aspects to it, where I might write a little bit of a script, add to ChatGPT, and then have something short and punchy, read it on the thing, cut it. And so things that require a bit more energy and headspace. So, and things that are like opinion pieces or that build your audience who gets to know you better, rather than just like, again, here's a pretty photo of this, or here's client work here.
You're because that your pillars.
Exactly, my pillars.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is the content I want to.
Yeah, like showing up in front of the camera, like feeling yuck and still doing it anyway because there's no light bulb moment. Like all those things I talk about as far as women in business goes, those sort of main topics that I also have blog posts on, kind of thinking about how I can start at the top, have a longer piece of content, cull it down into something shorter for Instagram. And then I think I'll still have those, moments on the fly where there's a beautiful shot, sunrise in the garden, I share it on the fly. It'll always have to be a mix of that for me. So because that's where the magic is. I can't have it all structured. Otherwise it makes me feel like I've got too many rules in place, and that annoys me. So yeah. How about you? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking that you just got to keep going. I think my pain point at this point is time to build strategy. It was easy to just post on the fly, but strategy is something that I always struggle with because I feel so boxed in as a creative person. So I think I need support with that.
What aspects do you feel boxed in about with the strategy part?
Like, because it's across a couple of businesses, I have to have strategy for selling. And that means that I need to sit down and plan that content or create content. And when I'm not in that flow, for instance, if it's a recipe that I need to do a recipe, like I'm not cooking right now, I'm so busy with other things. It's not natural right this second. So I have to make time for that, and I feel like there's no time for it. So the strategy piece of going, okay, well, these are my pillars, but how do I shoot that content and make time and batch it? It just feels really
I think that part is really hard. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because it's not.
Yeah, not where you're naturally at.
Yes.
It's not coming naturally.
Right. So we'll share in the show notes some information on our data kind of thing, or on the screen at the end, which sort of shows our insights from the last 30 days or 28 days of February. So like what our followers were. And the interesting part, I think when we looked at the data, was that we both lost quite a lot of followers, like a substantial amount of followers in that relative to the number of people on our.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, because I don't think honestly, this is embarrassing to even a bit, but I don't look at my insights very often. I'm just always doing. Like I'm always just like, every now and then you can see that something's doing well and you have a quick look at it, but I don't go back often. Yeah, and then like look back at the last 6 months and go, oh, that post did well, so I'll recreate more content like that. Again, that's the strategy piece that I'm always missing because it's not being strategic. I should be
creative.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, same. I feel like I'm the same. Like the only thing that I do look at is like every few months. I don't click on it, but I'm like, oh, it's going up. Like I'm at this number, on this number. But like, you can't pretend that data and those numbers aren't important because we're a business. Again, this isn't just us posting our lives. This is also us selling our products or selling out what we do and sharing what we do so people hopefully find us and buy from us. So it's like, that data is actually important. So it's like
so important. Yeah.
I was like okay with losing people because I'm really conscious of finding the right people. And so the more you post, the more you're authentic, the more you share, the more people you find that are more aligned with you. So as long as it wasn't going in a negative, it was still going in a positive, I was happy. And that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so when Sarah and I looked at our numbers, like yes, the follower count had gone down, and we had gained followers that had made up for it overall. But the insight showing about how many people were engaging with our posts, how many people outside of our own account were clicking on it, were just like through the roof, just so substantial.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm not advocating necessarily for posting every day because I know that feels full on. Sarah is. I'm not. Absolutely not. I still have no desire to post every day. But I think the thing is that for me, where I was sitting in January, I was like, okay, stuff Instagram, I'm done. And because there was like political things to do with it as well. But after doing it, it's like, okay, the reality is that there is billions of people, there's so many people on this platform. And to negate it and say that it has no value or meaning as far as a business perspective go is a ridiculous thing to say. So I think I'm just thinking of it now that it's a place, it's like a landing page for people. And hopefully they get there and then they can see my website and they can go to other places. And so it's basically like a landing page to other places I'd like them to go to read longer form content or to engage with my services outside of there. And so I think in the last, 5 or 6 years since I've moved several times, I think without Instagram, I wouldn't have my business wouldn't be where it is right now. So, and I've made friends through it as well. So it's kind of like, it's easy to sort of, like throw arrows at it and say, it's evil and whatever it is, but I think like you kind of get what you put into it and you're just basically using it as a platform. It's a platform to help your business. If you're on there to take photographs of your dog or your family and you don't like the vibe, that's totally cool. But the reality is that people who actually have to earn money from their job have to show up and be on camera and do those things. And that's just how it goes. Yeah, there's no way around it.
I'm going to say like my antidotal kind of experience was that I had so many people pop out of the woodwork. I had so many comments, so many replies, so many like communications that weren't forward public facing, were like DMs or replies or text messages or different things. And I think that it's so powerful. And like, it was so like community building powerful. And so my last piece of advice would be to just do it, because I actually want to challenge you, honey, about what you were just saying. And I can't remember but I think that unless you have like something telling you that you have to do it a certain amount of times, I don't think you'll do it. I reckon you'll fizzle out.
It's true. Yeah, I think you're calling me on that. Yeah.
Because I don't think, and then also the other thing, this is what I wanted to say to you. So you sell like you sell your skill set, you sell your courses, you sell, I don't know if there's anything else there, but those two things, even so, like using it as a landing page, well, there has to be call to actions and there has to be strategy there. Like,
Absolutely.
if you're using it as a top of funnel to find people, to find you, then that content, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot more to unpack.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I'm very aware that if I just say it without having some kind of commitment, so in my head, I'm going to commit to something. It's just not going to be posted every day.
Yeah.
And I think what you're talking about is people reaching out for you as like a way to kind of wrap this up. I had the same experience as well. So I had people messaging me, like really warm, genuine, like, oh, wow, because I was sharing more without so many boundaries in place, like overthinking it, just doing stuff and saying things how I felt. I definitely had some really great engagement with DMs and just people saying, yeah, just actually social media, being social. And it was really enjoyable, that aspect of it. And I think I was like, okay, right, I see the power in it still. And again, it's what you put in. So energy in, energy out. So yeah.
Out of 10, what would you rate it?
What was that?
What would you rate doing 30 days of posting out of 10?
I kind of rated a 9 out of 10. 9.
And we're going to say it together. And I was about to say 8. That's high, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really
because
that's encouraging people to do it then.
Made me feel energetic.
Me too.
Like,
I always do that to you. The more.
Yes. Yeah. Like I felt, there was definitely lulls where I was like, I can't do this. And you're like messaging me saying, it's okay, you can do it. You can do it. I was like, can't do this anymore. It's too much.
I know.
But overall, like when I look back on it, it was like, it was just, I felt like energized and not crippled by indecision.
So overall, if we had to say like a final thing, is just do it. Just get over yourself and do it.
Yeah.
Give it
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Sarah. And we'll share the information about all our stats. Yeah.
You do another one with other people, maybe.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Cool.